Hi, it's Lynn from LynnieCDesigns. Thank you for joining me today. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in West Sussex in the UK. This is one of the cards that we made in my April card classes, and I thought I would come on and recreate it but do a different colourway. It's a 5x7 card, so it's quite nice to do. I'm really into doing bigger cards at the moment, so I have used the Enduring Beauty stamp set and one of the coordinating dies, and I added colour with a set of masks. Now they do come numbered, but I've added permanent marker just to make it easier for me to work out which one. I have made cards with these kind of masks before, and I will put a link somewhere in the video so that you can see another version. This bundle, these items are on our last chance list, so if you want to bag a bargain, I'll put a link to my shop down below. These are really great value, and I'll just get straight into it. So this one I used Petal Pink and Calypso Coral, and the green was Lemon Lime Twist, but this time I'm going back to my favourites. So this is a pack that I give to my ladies. So it's a card base, and this is 10 inches by 7 inches, and it's scored down the middle at 5 to give a card base. So let's just do a quick reinforce that. There we go. And then I've got a layer of fresh freesia. Now that is cut just a little bit shorter so that it fits around, and you've got a nice border, white border all the way around. So this is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And then I've got a 1/4 sheet of basic white to do the stamping and colouring, and then I've got a piece of Highland Heather which I'm going to do my happy birthday. Now that is from a new stamp set, the happy birthday, which is Layered Thoughts. Now this is one of the ones that is coming in the new annual catalogue, so will be available for you guys to order beginning of May. This will be available for you to buy. So it's actually got some lovely big sentiments. I'm just using I used the happy birthday. So let us get on. I'm going to get a scratch sheet, get a scratch sheet there, put that way, and I will stamp my main image in Memento. Make sure that you've got good coverage on that. Stamp it right the way down in the middle. Get lots of pressure. We'll take that off. Beautiful. Stamp so well. And then we will use our masks. So I'm going to come in with some with a blending brush. So let me just pop that on. I can see where that's going. If you're not great with these masks, they have a little sort of tick there, so you can, if you secure your cardstock and then do a little tick there, it will show you. Let me just do it so that I'm, rather than saying, if I put that there, then each one will then be able to go in there, and it will line up with the next layer. But I tend to just use it, it's quite easy to do it by eye. Now I've got a blending brush and I'm just going to use what is on there at the moment. These blending brushes, if they've got ink on, it does tend to go quite a long way, and I want to try and build up the colour. Now in my original card I did use 2 inks, but this time I'm just going to use the ink that's on there for the first layer of the flowers. So that's number 1. Now the only thing I get a bit frustrated with this one, because you've got leaves and buds on here. That one's on its own, so that's easy. I'm just going to cover that leaf up there just while I do the buds, and then we'll take off. We can reuse this. So I don't get the purple on the leaves. So there we go. I'm going to take those off while I do the, so that I can give that a quick wipe and then do the green. So I'm recording this on Easter Sunday, so happy Easter everyone. Let me just get my cloth. And because these are water-based inks, they come off really well. So I'm going to pop that there, and then I'm just going to pop it back on. This time we need to try and cover up the bud. And let's see if we can do this. There we go. So we've got green, and the green I'm going to use for this, it was torn. I think I'm going to use a slightly darker, so shaded, this is Shaded Spruce. So I'm going to tap on there, get a little bit of ink on here, and then add when I put ink on, I always just tap off there on the side on your paper, scratch paper, and it stops any sort of excess going on your cards. So there we are, that's layer 2. And then number 3 comes in with a little bit more details. See that tick there came in handy. And I'm going to come back in with Gorgeous Grape. And add an extra layer of the purple, which adds in some detail. we go. 4 is back to the leaves and the buds. So I think what I might do, hold on a second, faffing about. The other thing is using a little dauber and coming in and adding a bit of colour to that bud, those buds. And then I'm going to again try and cover them up, because you want to get the green on the stems. So this is the only sort of faffy bit. Need a little bit of tape. And this is just low tack tape that I've got here. And we can always go back in afterwards. So make sure that the tick is on your mark. There we go. Fabulous. That's worked really well. I think we've got it all. And then we've just got one last bit. And it just gives a little bit more definition to the center of the flowers. So again, coming in off here. Don't necessarily need to do that because you've got the black ink, but it does add a bit extra. And these masks, because it's water-based ink, let's take off the extra bits, it will just, you run it under the tap and that ink just washes away. But how pretty is that? My favorite colors. So I'm just gonna, let's put our inks away. Everything out of the way, and I will just go off and die cut. There's a lovely big die which goes over the top. And again, I've just got a little bit of tape. I'll be back in a minute. So there we have our beautiful flower. And then we can get working on this bit. Now, we're going to bring, just using the ink that is on our purple blending brush, I'm going to just add a bit of shading around the edge. Now this card was inspired by a swap that I got at Onstage from my lovely stamping sister, the very talented Heather Thomas, aka Songbird Stamper. Hopefully you already follow her and watch her videos. She's absolutely fabulous. Now I am going to grab that ink pad again, because it's a bit darker down that end and I've run out slightly on this end. And I will show you her card at the end, but it's absolutely stunning. Just build that up. Heather did hers with watercolour inks, and I don't think she used her mask. I think she watercolour added colour to her flowers. She actually drew. She's very talented. I'm in awe of her talent. But another thing that I picked up on hers, let's see if I can find that card now. Oh, here we go. How beautiful is that? So yes, this is watercolor paper, and then she's added turquoise to white, which is fabulous. But she's drawn with a Stampin' Up marker around the edge, and I love that idea. So we're casing it. I'm going to take that out of the way and just do a faux stitch around the edge. And I'm not worrying if it's perfect. Let's just do another one. Hoping my pen doesn't run out. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Easter. Today hasn't been, we've had quite good weather, but today hasn't been brilliant. And I've let my husband, although it's dried up now, I've let my husband do the afternoon doggy walk. We did go for a nice walk this morning, but we had the brolly, so not very good at doing this and talking at the same time. But there we go. Just gives a really nice effect, I think. And that is going to go across there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat emboss this, and then we're going to chop this in half. So I'm going to heat emboss. I'll use the same scratch paper. I'll use my emboss buddy. Get rid of any dust or oil. And this beautiful big happy birthday. Now the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this foam pad, because I think sometimes you can definitely get a better image, especially with big stamps, to have a bit of cushioning when they're photopolymer. So let me try and get that in the center and then push that down. And I always say to my ladies, count to 3 and take that off. That is perfect. And then we've got some white heat embossing. powder. This comes in a pack of basics, so you get white, black and clear embossing powder. Now the clear helps you do embossing in any of our ink color that you have. So that's just some dust from our buddy. I'm going to heat this up, excuse me for a moment. I absolutely love heat embossing. If you've seen my videos before, you may have heard me say that before, but it's true. I just think there's something magical about the embossing powder melting into the card. Now I'm just going to trim this down with my guillotine, take away that little speck. I'm just going to trim that there. That kind of makes it a little bit more even. And then I'm going to use my little guillotine to cut this in half. Now you can do it by measuring and then cutting, but I'm just going to do it by eye, and I wanted it so that I had that there. There was no real scientific reason for it. I'm sure the bottom one there's not much in it. It's a little bit longer, the bit at the bottom than at the top. And then I'm going to, so this is going to go on with dimensionals. Now I've got the tail ends of my sheet of large, come on Lynn, speak and multitask. These are normal size dimensionals. Oh, I forgot how to do both at the same time. Rather than go into a new pack, just use all of it. Waste not, want not. It's all the same stuff. So I'm going to use my grid paper and roughly, let's see, that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4. Yep, that's in the middle. So we're gonna roughly do that. Pop that on there. I am going to pop that on the card base before I go any further. I'm just going to flat add that with some glue. Need a new glue pot. Let's see if it's got any glue in it. No. Need to throw them away. Let's see if this third time lucky. There we go. Let's pop that on there. We have a little wiggle room to make sure it's kind of central. And then I'm going to pop some dimensionals under both of these pieces. Take that backing off. And all I'm going to do is tuck it underneath in the center. There we go. And then to fit, oh, I forgot. I did some dabbles underneath. Never mind. Never mind. I can't really do it afterwards. And then for sparkles, what did I do with those? I'm using some of these beautiful iridescent faceted gems. I'm not sure else. Hopefully they're still active, or put that on there. And we'll go there. Oh, well. What do you reckon? Yes, I used a retired speckled bit for the background, but actually that just looks lovely. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. Nice, quick and easy cards, and actually they look really beautiful. You could do something else in the center, but there we are. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.